power unit situation is inflaming worldwide interest and motorsport enthusiasts' attention. The arguments are fascinating. There are automotive manufacturers that invested millions of dollars or euros to realize power units. And what's emerging from GPS data is explosive. But before discovering what GPS data reveals, what's the difference between Mercedes and Ferrari, and what Wolff says about who will win in 2026, stay until the end, because what you'll hear is incredible. There are favorable opinions toward a certain type of architecture expressed by the FIA in favor of Mercedes. However, there's evidence emerging forcefully that would confirm a misstep made by the FIA toward Mercedes in their approval process. Despite having drawings of the new 2026 Mercedes power unit combustion chambers, the FIA didn't manage to interpret effectively or pose the right technical questions to Mercedes technical directors to understand what that tiny 2 cubic centimeter chamber served for. That hidden chamber next to the combustion chamber, placed in communication with a very thin orifice capable of plugging up when this chamber shouldn't appear when hot during actual operation. The technical explanation was treated in recent videos, but a fundamental theme is missing to add to these arguments while awaiting further developments. By now, Formula One has become hyper-technological, and the Formula One world. The engineers working in teams are capable of collecting information in very detailed manner, using technology to the best of possibilities and capabilities. And examination of GPS data obtained from test laps done in Spain on the Montmeló circuit by Mercedes Formula One demonstrates an anomalous performance surplus that cannot be explained by normal variations. This is clearly recounted in an article by authoritative journalist Roberto Chinchero, who writes on motorsport.it, a well-known face for enthusiasts because he's the expert who narrates Formula One commentary alongside Carlo Vanzini on Italian television. Well, Roberto Chinchero reveals in an article on motorsport.it that GPS data examination would demonstrate a performance surplus from Mercedes that goes beyond normal expectations. All this would have convinced Mercedes adversaries, particularly Red Bull, to side against Mercedes precisely to counter this technical performance surplus they observed in the data. Now we'll see how the situation evolves in coming weeks. Certainly, Mercedes is put to face an extremely difficult defense that will lead them to go to court if necessary. And on the other hand, there'll be the FIA that must also demonstrate why it expressed this position, this favorable opinion toward Mercedes architecture when approving the design. We'll see how the situation evolves. This week testing will begin, the first testing session in Bahrain, and we'll certainly know more about the real performance picture. For the moment, the situation becomes incandescent and tensions are rising. The 3 test days that took place in Barcelona allowed various teams to start observing closely choices and solutions introduced by rival teams on track. Not so much regarding aerodynamics and chassis, since at Montmeló many showed up with very simple packages and basic configurations, but rather to start collecting information in the power unit area, which is the real revolution. As we know, in fact, the 2026 regulations started from power unit redefinition, with a focus that shifted to electric and use of sustainable fuels as a central element. For this reason, in the season now at hand, energy management will become one of the principal factors to consider during races, as also confirmed by Toto Wolff a few days before Bahrain testing begins. I think the investments made in tools and simulations as well as correlation work will be advantageous, Wolff said in his statement. But at the same time, the learning curve will be steep for everyone. When we see what others do, we'll understand better where we stand. It was quite interesting to observe the way Ferrari and Red Bull managed energy during Barcelona testing. It was different from ours, Wolff continued. I'm not saying better, just different. This is an interesting admission from the Mercedes team principal, who recognizes different approaches to energy management between the top teams. According to the Silver Arrows team principal, in fact, it will be fundamental to manage stealing something from others to avoid finding oneself too far behind rivals as the season progresses. We'll have to be good at learning by observing others, and thanks to the kilometers we'll cover in testing and racing, Wolff explained. At the same time, there will be races where we'll realize we got something wrong, and it will be important to know how to react in the most correct way quickly. to win in the end will be the most intelligent, both in the car and on the engineering front, Wolff concluded. This is the key according to the Mercedes team principle for the 2026 championship success. Toto Wolff spoke about some differences between Mercedes and Ferrari and the aspect that will make the difference in 2026. And from his words emerges confidence that the most intelligent will win the championship. Interesting to note how Wolff speaks of learning from others while simultaneously Mercedes is at the center of compression ratio controversy, with GPS data showing performance surplus according to reliable sources. This is a truly complex and fascinating situation from multiple angles. On one hand, we have GPS data that, according to Roberto Chinchero, demonstrates an anomalous Mercedes performance surplus. This isn't speculation, it's concrete data collected in Barcelona from multiple sources. On the other hand, we have Wolff talking about different approaches to energy management between Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. He says it's different, not better. But if GPS data shows performance surplus clearly visible in the telemetry, perhaps different actually means better, at least for now in these early stages. The question of the 2 cubic centimeter chamber remains central to the entire controversy. If the FIA didn't understand what that small chamber served when it saw the drawings during the approval process, this is an enormous problem. It means Mercedes presented a technically legal solution on paper, but with a hidden purpose the FIA didn't grasp initially. Red Bull siding against Mercedes after seeing GPS data is significant and telling. Initially, they were neutral, not signing the protest letter, but evidently what they observed in telemetric data convinced them there's a real advantage to counter that needs addressing. The fact the situation becomes incandescent right before Bahrain testing is crucial for the championship. Bahrain will be the first true testing ground with mandatory sustainable fuels and more aggressive aero packages. If Mercedes confirms performance surplus there with real fuel, the legal battle will explode immediately. Wolff talking about learning from others and being the most intelligent is almost ironic considering others are trying to understand if Mercedes has an illegal advantage. Of course, he means intelligent in energy management strategies, but the timing is curious given the controversy. The truth is, Bahrain will tell us much about the real situation. If Mercedes still shows that anomalous performance surplus in GPS data, and if Ferrari and Red Bull confirm different but less effective approaches in energy management, then pressure on the FIA to clarify the small chamber question will become unsustainable and immediate action will be required. We'll see how it evolves in coming days and weeks. The situation is truly incandescent and could define the entire 2026 season before it even starts properly with the first race. If you enjoy discovering what GPS data reveals about Mercedes and what Wolff says about energy management differences, let me know what you think. Do you believe Mercedes truly has an illegal advantage, or is it just more intelligent energy management that others will eventually copy?